hockey. Yeah.
My favorite.
It's Judd's Hockey Show.
It is Judd's Hockey Show. It's the big edition of the week. You ask why? Because it's not just Judd. It's not just AJ. It is Jessi Pierce as well. Jessi, huge shout out. Hartford Whalers hoodie is awesome.
So good. I've got like 2 of these plus a Hartford Whalers hat. They're my favorite things in the world. And the Canes are still playing, so kind of a little homage to the Hurricanes, right?
I hate the
Rings
fact
are all messed up.
I hate that the fact that they moved.
It's just the color. I mean, it's very similar to the Timberwolves. Shout out to them too, who are starting their Western Conference Finals. But I think that's what it is. Like I like the color scheme too. It's just everything about it's good.
The logo is great. The name was like everything about it is like. I'm sorry, no offense, but Hurricanes. It's like okay, another sports team name.
And then you go with the very bland red, black, and white. Like, yeah, there's not a million other teams that have that color palette. It's similar to the Wild, I think. Like North Stars, that yellow and gold is so much more appealing here. Same thing, Whalers, that green and blues work so well.
Absolutely. All right, so we've got some very exciting talking points today, including a trade that's been suggested, a couple of names. But before we get to those things, I do want to give a shout out to our friends at Parlor, the Parlor Burger I talked about all season long because they've got a location just down from the X. But now I want to tell you about a new Parlor location in Excelsior. It's a supper club as well as a regular Parlor bar. They are also in, as I just said, St. Paul and the North Loop as well. The Parlor Burger, the craft cocktails, they're all outstanding. I've told you forever now, do not sleep on the chicken sandwich. If the Parlor Burger is the first line center, the chicken sandwich is the second line, which means, yes, it is a top 6 type of player. So Parlor in Excelsior, way out west, check them out and that location. All right, guys. The first thing, so I've got about 4 or 5 talking points here. The first thing is in the end of the season athletic stuff that Joe Smith and Mike Russo wrote about. One of the things that Russo wrote was this. I will read this and then I want to get your thoughts starting with Jessi. Russo wrote, if I'm the Wild and planning to trade Marco Rossi, I'd go hard after Buffalo's JJ Peterka or Tage Thompson. What do you think about that? Tage Thompson, just for a point of reference, because Buffalo stinks, okay? But Tage Thompson is coming off a 44-goal season, has 5 years left on his contract, and is 27. Peterka is only 23. He is, much like Rossi, an RFA on July 1st. But just, what do you think of those 2 names, and does one in particular interest you more than the other?
I feel like Peterka is more realistic. I think Tage Thompson, Buffalo knows what they have in him. Bill Guerin's obviously familiar with him too, despite not picking him to go play in 4 Nations, which I know was a point of contention for a lot of fans, and Tage kind of proved why. I mean, certainly that he's going to be looked at for the Olympic roster, but I like JJ. He's young, in his second year in the NHL, 68 points, 27 goals, 41 assists, tied for second behind Tage Thompson in points for the Buffalo Sabres. Shooting percentage, set 15.6, and he's averaging about 18 minutes of ice time. So I like Peterka. I think there's a possibility. I think Buffalo would maybe be more apt to part with him too, I think, over Tage Thompson. I think, again, that's more realistic. Now, the downside from what I have gathered from my Buffalo colleagues is that he's not very physical, which, of course, has been the knock on Rossi as well, right? That you're missing that FU attitude that Bill Guerin loves. And his defensive play hasn't been stellar, but he's so young that I think you can still grow into that, right? He's 2 years younger than Marco Rossi, right? So I think Peterka is who I'd gun for. See what you can get. I think there's a lot of upside with ceiling where he's looking at maybe not quite a point per game player, but I would say, at least 70 points in a season, 60 at a low end, which is certainly what the Minnesota Wild could use.
Am I missing something? Because I feel like they're being talked about for both these guys as solid center replacements. JJ Peterka has played right wing like all season long. He
can play both, supposedly.
Do you want him to? Like his faceoff stats. His faceoff stats are terrible. Granted, he took 12 this season. He won 2 of them. Like, that's not a recipe for success. Granted, does that mean he can probably work on it? We haven't really explored that possibility. Sure, right. But this feels like a very even that sort of trade to me feels like just a change of scenery for both guys. And I don't know where Buffalo sits in terms of their front office feeling like they're backed into a corner. It feels like they have been in this rebuild for 2 decades now, almost. They like it's 14 years or something like that without a playoff appearance now. They have some bona fide studs, and Tage Thompson is one of them, which is why I feel like that's more of a pipe dream. I think Tage Thompson is a fantastic player. I might be a little biased because I picked him up before he really took off in Dynasty fantasy hockey. So he's been a stud for me, but they have
play. Thanks for the invite. I'd love to play.
Yeah, I'd be
you
in.
You don't strike me as a fantasy hockey guy.
I'm in.
I've been
kicked out of all my other leagues because my name is used as a source for different lines, and they said that's not fair, and so they kicked me out of my leagues. And I would like to be in.
You get kicked out for that?
Yeah, apparently.
That's ridiculous.
We're gonna have to. We'll have to start something.
Thanks for the invite. Anyway,
that's okay. Tage Thompson is great. Rasmus Dahlin is great, but they just for some reason have these superstars, but just can't actually win hockey games.
Right.
This sort of swap would be Rossi for Peterka, and I feel like that's more of a let's just see if that like chemistry wise gets the juices flowing sort of thing. And I don't know if they're done with JJ Peterka. I think he had a pretty big step. I mean, you still are nearing that almost 30 goal scorer type of thing, but he obviously had a big influx of assists, maybe just depending on guys he's playing with in the regular season. If he's not physical though, like sure, you can teach that, but if that's the talking
with you
point
on this, yeah.
with where Rossi's not, if he's lacking that, why would you trade for a guy who's 3 inches taller, but also isn't physical? To me, that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to make a trade, get a bona fide one center. And this does not feel like a bona fide one center. This feels like a passion project just for the sake of doing a passion project when, like we've discussed already, I feel like you're entering your win now window. JJ Peterka to me is an exciting prospect, but not a win now, what he is type of player.
So, yeah, first of all, if he's not physical, what's the point? Because Bill's Bill drafted Rossi too, and now he is, I don't want to say he's turned on him, but it seems like he has lost interest. So if JJ Peterka is going to give you the same type of game, and he is more of a wing than center, what's the point? Look, that to me feels like rearranging the furniture for the sake of it, and because Peterka is more of a wing, I don't know that you're going to win that trade. Let's explore the Tage Thompson thing just for a second, though. What's the price there? Because, I mean, we're talking about, to what AJ is saying, like, Tage Thompson would be a screw it, win now. Number one center. Like, then it's very clear. Tage Thompson on the top line, Joel Eriksson on the second line. So, like, that becomes very clear. I feel like Peterka for Rossi sounds like a possibility. But what is the Tage Thompson trade? Let's say you start with Marco, but certainly that's going to be far more than, I would guess, than a 1-for-1 swap, Jessi.
Yeah, I mean, Buffalo likes him, I think, though. I think they do recognize that that's the biggest concern. So he signed a 7-year, $7 million or $49 million contract, so an AAV of 7. So you're looking at Rossi. You're probably looking at Ogren. And a pick similar to what we've discussed for like the Dylan Larkins of the world, right? I think that's how much they value Tage in Buffalo. So you're going to have to at least go with 2 players and a pick. And that's going to be expensive. And then you're obviously going to take on that cap, which isn't terrible for what he is going to be. Like, I don't hate that at all in that contract because he's still got a couple more years left. What is it? God, when did he sign that?
He's got like 5 years left.
5 years. Yeah, it's new, right? It's fresh.
Like
Ink's still drying.
Yeah, you'd pay for that.
I'd pay. Yeah, you would. And you'd be good with that because it's similar to a Boldy, right? Where that there's still the upside. It's exactly like Boldy's contract.
Same contract.
So absorb that. But I think you're going to have to part with Ogren, who's still young enough, but proven enough too, I think, similar to Rossi, where they are going to get back value in those. So that's what I think you'd have to do. Ogren, Rossi, pick.
How many guys have the Buffalo Sabres in the last 5 years got who are just like Ogren and just gone there to die? Like it feels like this
Or
would
the
be the
old
most.
guys like Pominville, Stahl. Remember Eric
Yeah.
Stahl when they sent him there and like the haggardness and just anger in his face during that
Oh, he hated Billy for that.
open press conference. God,
He hated Billy for that. But I'm just saying, Ogren seems like the type of guy who's been traded to Buffalo like 87 times in the past 5 years. And they end up on like the second line and everybody forgets about them. And they have decent seasons, but it's like, it's still Buffalo. But Age, if that was the trade, what would be your thoughts? Because I'm definitely in on trying to solve the number one center problem. And I agree with Jessi completely. To do so is not going to be cheap.
No,
Like it's going to be expensive.
yeah. I mean, if it was Rossi, Ogren, it depends. I think it depends on the pick. I think you could get away with not doing a first. I think if you just say we're going to punt on this year's draft and you go with a third, I mean, I want to say I think that would be enough, but you probably have to go with a second. What next year? Do they have that one anymore? It feels like I don't know what, like they just don't have picks anymore.
yeah.
I think you could get away with not expensing a first though in that sort of deal. The problem, my biggest problem, and I like the upside scoring wise, his playmaking ability, the way he skates. He's just terrible at faceoffs. He's like a 42% faceoff taker, which time after time, show after show, that has been my biggest gripe is that they can't win important faceoffs. Okay, so let's add a 1C and you're not mortgaging the future. You're trading a guy that it seems like you've already sort of, written off, and then a prospect where you didn't really want to give him the time this season. So I don't necessarily think that they're as high on him as some other people are. But if you're going to go out and get a top end center, I would like that guy to at least on top of scoring have mediocre face-off abilities, not 2 out of every 5 or something like that. 3 out of every 5. I just want, well, actually I would love 3 out of 5. Bad at math. St. Cloud. Thank you.
You paid for that?
Tage Thompson has a what is it? A modified no trade clause. So like,
Yeah.
would he even agree to that? Like, I don't know does he
Get
love
him out
Buffalo?
of Buffalo. If I was Tage, I'd jump at the chance to come to Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Yeah, agreed.
I'd run out of Buffalo. I mean, they just spin their wheels, man. Like you're right. They've got all of these players and they're pretty good players. Like, here's my dream. What if you could work a trade? And this again would be a biggie. So hold on to your hats.
Okay.
Tage Thompson and Alex Tuck.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what about Alex Tucker? We missed him. We loved him dearly, but is he too? I hate to say it, old. Like, is he still got it in him? Has he grown weary in Buffalo?
Oh, he's 29. Like I feel like
feels old. Feels old.
And what do your spies say, Jessi? Your spies in Buffalo say.
They love Alex
I'd be
Tuck.
curious.
And Alex Tuck, I mean, he's from out there, right? So I think he'll love being there. But they love Alex Tuck. That size, everything that I wanted them to keep, every reason that I wanted them to keep Alex Tuck initially anyway, has been on full display with him. So Buffalo loves him.
He was everything that they, I think, thought Charlie Coyle would be. Like he became those things.
Yeah, very much.
That would be like I think the ideal Judd Zulgad dream swap of like you throw in a Ryan Hartman, you get Alex Tuck back, leadership, kind of get that
Hartman's
grittiness.
got some protection, right? It's not.
He's got a full no move.
He's got a full no move.
Oh, I thought it was down.
No. How silly of you to think that
he ain't going to Buffalo. He ain't going to Buffalo. But I mean, we're talking players and draft picks.
Yes, absolutely. And they have their second round this year. Toronto's fourth. I think you're not going to do anything that late. But then 2026 they have their first, their third, and then everything else in the draft plus a fifth rounder from the Sharks. So you could go next year, throw that third in there, and if Buffalo feels like that draft might suit them a little bit more, maybe they bite. But as long as you can not do a first and you do a Tage Thompson, I think I can live with that because his scoring, I think I can overlook the face-off deficiencies there, and then you just kind of hope that Eck can carry the load.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's just tough too. It's so tough to find guys that are good in the dot.
Yeah,
that's where I hate.
It feels like that's a continual issue.
I hate that I keep circling back to it because I've been such a no old guys type of thing, but I just keep having my eye on Claude Giroux. Like
what about Tavares?
I mean, after getting booed off the ice.
Well, if it's win now, that's a realistic discussion,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that man doesn't lose at the dot. Like I love watching him in there. The powerhouse, the size, the veteran.
There's going to be changes there. Now he wants to go back, but it might not be his decision too. Like, because that
Yeah.
was such a brutal meltdown and disaster. Yeah, that's one where I'd be curious what the price point is. It wouldn't be long term, but there's a lot to sell here. I mean, you got Kirill to sell here. I think you got a pretty. I think you can sell a pretty rosy picture of the future, especially the short term. Tavares intrigues me. Giroux intrigues me too. Like, yes, there are guys that intrigue me. Tage Thompson's scoring ability at center does, like,
Yeah.
My curiosity is piqued. How about that?
Especially if you trade for him, I feel like the term there is like really good value for what he is. He's what, 26, 27. You get him for another 6 or 7 years. He's at, I think that cap hit is officially just over 7.1.
It is.
That's reasonable, especially with the cap expected to rise here in the coming years. So I think once you get 3 years into it, even if they haven't won a cup, they're like, you know what? They're still in a pretty good spot because it's not like he is, he's not like a dead leg trying to bring down their salary. They can still work. And he's been really solid producing wise. If you put him on a team with a Kirill, with a Matt Boldy, and he's got one of them on the wing, you'd expect him to at least keep that same production, if not flourish a little bit more. So he's not the perfect player, but I think he might be one of the better options for sure.
So, Jess, where is Tavares on your potential list of free agent signees?
I mean, it's low. It's maybe 8 or 9, but if you do it for 1 or 2 years, I don't hate it for a reasonable price because he's proven efficient at the dot. He would obviously add to this team. I don't know that Toronto, that's the player that they necessarily want to part with of the core four. It sounds like Mitch Marner out, gone, done.
Well, he's going to be too expensive. He's going to be too,
you know what?
I've got no interest in him. I'm sorry. I know he's talented, but the playoff meltdowns and him bitching and moaning or whining, I hate that team. Like, personality wise, I hate that team. And
you have all these prima donnas. The only thing I never understand about the Mitch Marner hate in Toronto is the fact that Austin Matthews is also a no-show, but you don't see him getting nearly as much heat as Mitch Marner does, and he's getting paid more than Mitch Marner is. Like, I understand that you're paying Mitch a huge price, so I don't get why Mitchie gets all of this flack and Austin, I think he's more spoiled by.
I think he comes.
But his
dad's
a real a-hole. Like, his dad is a nut job, right? Like,
I'm out. Like, I wouldn't even if I was Guerin, I wouldn't even talk to him because his price point's high. And
overpay for him for sure.
And he does strike me as an ideal Utah mammoth based on he can go disappear. Like, I think his only chance to succeed is to go into hockey witness protection, which you're not going to find here, or certainly in Canada. Utah, you might.
Yeah.
Utah, you might. But keep in mind too, when we're talking about a center, age is right. You want somebody who's good in the dot, preferably, and you also want somebody that you think can extend to the PK. Mm-hmm. That has to get fixed. Like, and I don't know, does Boldy now playing on the PK long-term fix it? I don't know. But, I mean, it feels like they now need to make moves specifically, and it can't be Jakob bleeping Trenin. It feels like they need to make moves specifically to fix that. Like, that becomes a major problem, and it's always going to be a problem until it's fixed in playoffs, which means you're always going to get bounced because it makes a difference.
Yeah, it's a personnel problem, right? Like, that's the thing. You need to pick the right. Yeah, I don't love Boldy there. I don't know. I would try everybody, frankly. Be like, oh, you're going to try this now. Or if you have any experience. And they did do that a little bit last year, to their credit. Like, even I remember talking to Liam Ogren at camp, and we're like, do you have any PK experience? He's like, no. And I'm like, you should get some because they certainly could use that. And that would be your spot on the team then. Like, they just don't Pierce. They don't have enough guys. Like, they just need to figure that out. Because I have to imagine Yurov has never played a minute on the PK either. And that's another guy that's coming in.
I'm just tired of trying to find guys. Like, go out and sign, and it can't. I mean, the Trenin thing, we don't talk enough about the fact that he was taken off the PK.
Yeah.
Like, they took him off. That's one of the reasons, like, we're all like, well, look at how well he played in the playoffs. They took him off the penalty kill. He was signed specifically to play on it. So, like, you need to fix this thing, and it can't be, well, we're going to change our structure to an inverted umbrella pretzel, Like, it's past the structure. Your structure might be good, it might be bad. I got no clue, but your personnel stunk.
It's
And
not
so-
good. They figure it out. The opposition figures it out immediately what they're doing, and that's why they
Exactly.
score. Like, it's not good. The structure's not good either, but the players aren't good, which just means
Correct.
it's all a whole combustible thing.
Correct. Age, your thoughts on that one before we move on?
I'll let you know this because I know we've kind of been in the dark about whether or not he has one, but I'm looking at it now, and I apparently Yakov Trenin has no trade protection. So is he a guy that like?
Oh, he
if
has
you
no
do-
protection from being traded?
Yeah, allegedly. Which
Okay.
I mean, you're
Yeah, I
not going to
think
get
that's
much. You would get nothing back for him. But like, what is your minimum? Like a bag of pucks, or like, do you want just like a 7th rounder?
I feel like
would
they're
you be
high
willing
on
to-
him again because of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Playoffs.
No, they're gonna give him a second
I hate this
chance.
recency bias thing because if you like Ryan Hartman's going to come in and probably get like top 6 minutes. I don't know if he should. Like Yakov Trenin, he had great. Like Marcus Johansson's going to get a 7-year, $8 million deal
Stop.
per year.
Just stop.
Not
It's not even-
with us, not with the Wild.
In
But
Sweden, you mean? Like Sweden, they pay that? Is that what they do?
Swedish
over in
Elite
Sweden
League,
too?
yes.
Like
Yes.
that's where he's going. There's no
Like,
way.
I feel like teams don't watch the first 82, and then for the teams that are in the playoffs, it's like, oh hey, this guy, they got bounced in the first round, but you see those 4 games that he played? Oh my god, he was an absolute animal out there. No, he shows up when the paycheck needs a bump. So I'm not as high on Yakov Trenin still. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like we watched an entire season of him. Where was it the rest of the time? It should not take 82 games for you to settle into a new environment and in a new locker room and your role. Where was it? I can understand a month at most. You're a professional. How old is he? 20? He's 28.
28, yeah.
Like, we're the same age. Like, I could settle in after a month. He obviously has more skill than me, by all means, but like settling into a new environment, it does not take 82 games. Yeah, you don't know. The recency bias thing just really, really irks me. I don't get it.
Is it my turn? Do you
Yeah.
want me to say something about
Yeah.
it? I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be
Go
nice.
ahead.
This is a new season's over, washing the slate clean. I don't mind trying to give him another chance. Because if he can in fact play the way he played in the playoffs, absolutely. Like that is the player that they signed. That is this. And of course, Bill Guerin sold me a bill of goods when I asked him just that. I said, how do you get this out of him? And he's like, well, he was gripping a stick. He was nervous, blah, blah, blah. And I did notice a very odd dynamic in that room. Like he didn't insert himself into that room very much. So I do wonder if he needs to do more of that, if that's point of conversation. I'm fine with trying it out. But if it is not working, he is the first player gone at by trade deadline. You know what I mean? Like I'm fine with starting the season, seeing if he can get that mojo back, see if he can carry that over. But then he's gone. He gets half a season worth of a tryout for me.
Explain this to me, though. If we think he played so great, why did he stay on the 4th line? And, like, Nyquist never got bumped down. Never got scratched. Like, why did we... Like, if you're convinced that Brazeau and Trenin are hauling ass, and the playoffs are different, like, it does suit them more. I get that. But if you were convinced, right, that these guys are really, okay, this is go time, and we're there... Why doesn't one of them replace Nyquist? Why don't you juggle your lines more if you're Hines? Why did they leave things the same? Like, if you really think, like, to me, you're sort of, it's weird because you're saying, oh, Trenin, look at what he did. Look, oh, okay, that's cool. So shouldn't he been moved up to the 3rd line if you thought he was so great? Because you were getting a no-show performance from a guy who might have lost you the series. Like, the offsides might have lost you that series.
It did. I mean, that game, changes everything.
That's not hyperbole, right?
Yeah, no, not at all.
Just stay on sides.
Well, yeah, and then like I couldn't see it's like, dude, you are a trailer. Drag, slow down, come to a complete stop. But yeah, I mean, I just think there's some weird. So I guess what I'm trying to say in a long-winded way is I think there was some very weird messaging sent out after the season about what we saw. Because it's like, okay, if Trent's playing great, then, you know, I mean, he's Heinze's guy. But yet and you don't grip the stick for 82 freaking games. You grip it for maybe 20.
Yeah.
And some of it was effort too.
He had like 4 games that were fine that I didn't
That's the
hate.
thing is
you know what I mean? Like there were 4 games
he
where I was like,
indicted
oh,
himself.
go figure.
The Washington game where
Yeah.
he had that gorgeous goal, like he stripped. I think if I'm not mistaken, he stripped the goaltender of the puck and scored a gorgeous, really nice goal. Like he has some
Yeah.
hands,
Yeah.
but we just didn't see him. And it's like, dude, that's not to what AJ is saying. I agree with him. It's like that's not acceptable. So,
Yeah. Well, Jessi can probably shed more light on this too, just being like in the locker room every day and at practice all the time. But it felt like, especially in the playoffs, to Judd's point, for the major mistakes and for a coaching staff and front office that seems very no nonsense. Like we're going to be blunt, we're going to be truthful, we're going to be upfront about things, we're going to do what it takes to win. It felt like they almost didn't. Like the Nyquist thing. Why didn't he get shuffled around more and put in a less role? I understand you paid a 2nd-round pick for him, but at the same time, if he's not benefiting you in 5-on-5 play, stop putting him out there in 5-on-5 play. You're not getting penalty kill stuff because the penalties get toned down in the playoffs, so it didn't make sense. But then on the other side of things, okay, you have this 4th line that, hey, you're loving how they're playing. You put Rossi down there. You buried him down there, but that's because that's going to generate the scoring and the forecheck is like they're burning and turning and all this stuff. Well, they're still not getting that great of minutes. Like, why are we not rewarding in your mind? If you're telling me they're doing the right things, why are you not rewarding them? And on the other side of things, now when you're costing you a game in the playoffs where every game matters and potentially the series because how momentum swings, you're like, nobody's beating himself up more than him. Like he feels the weight on his shoulders. Yeah, so does everybody else. But also, They didn't go off sides in one of the most obvious, hey, just drag your foot situations for somebody not even impacting the play. So I don't know if Jessi, do you get the sense that, I don't know, maybe they're more talk than actual action there, or do you still think they're very upfront about that kind of no nonsense and we're going to do exactly what we need to do to win? Maybe that's a loaded question.
No, I mean, sometimes it feels like they fluff it up for us, right? And because we have to write what they tell us. I can't infer what they're doing. Like I have to report exactly what they're saying. So of course they're going to dress it up nice, but you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig sometimes. And we all can see with our own eyes how these players performed and certainly can try to get them to be honest with us. I think especially even that postseason, again, everyone's happy. We made it to the playoffs. We did this and that and the other thing, and we got some good things. And I'm not going back on what I said. I thought they played very well in the playoffs. I do. I still stand by that, and I thought it was one of their best playoff rounds yet. Doesn't mean that it advanced them, though. And you're right, there were changes that need to be made, but they just kind of walked around a lot of those questions, with Gus Nyquist. And there's a difference, too. Sometimes when you're asking them, we're not looking for you to throw the guy under the bus and say he's the worst thing ever. But there are coaches who will be brash and say, hey, yeah, you know what? That can't be happening. Because it was. Him going offsides, you cannot tell me that wasn't an absolute horrendous mistake, but also, again, a costly mistake. That goal is in. That goal is good. Minnesota wins the game. Now they're up heading back and they can close it. You can't lie about that. Like, you can't tell us it didn't. And so as far as changes go, I know Heinze loves to tell us that we read too much into the lines. He thinks that we definitely demotions and rewards and this, that, and the other thing. But as Judd said, the fact is, if that 4th line was performing as well, they should have been bumped up to the 3rd line. Because the 3rd line wasn't doing squat for the most part, right? Except Marcus Foligno when he was either
Freddie
second or
didn't
third.
do squat.
Freddie didn't do squat. Gus didn't do squat.
Right.
So you might as well swap those around, give them some more minutes, see that forecheck a little bit more frequently. Right. The problem at the end of the day is this Wild team wasn't deep enough no matter what. You have your top 6 and that was it. Your 3rd and 4th line are kind of interchangeable at that point. So there's a little bit of honesty. There's a little bit of, I'm a little naive to what they tell me. I'm like, sure. Like, remember when I looked John Heinze in the eyes and I said, has Kirill Kaprizov been skating? No,
you can't make stuff like I can just write stuff that I think.
Yeah.
You need to write what they say, but you can still smell the BS. And I will say this: if he wants to say that the lines are like, oh, you're trying to infer this or that, in black and white, no inference at all is ice time. And Marco Rossi had what, the third lowest ice time on the team, and that's not up for debate. That is a demotion. So So it's raining outside today. It's been raining outside all week. I don't know when the rain is going to stop. So, Jessi, if I was on the golf course last week and now I can't go on the course, but I want to hone my game still, what can I do?
Absolute perfect time to head out to Swing Lab in Lakeville. Swing Lab Performance Golf, spot to be. They offer a variety of services from professional lessons, advanced club fitting, excellent repairs and regripping, and they even have a summer membership, you guys, for just $99 a month, where you get unlimited swings with TrackMan technology and Swing Catalyst video analysis. Why go to the range? Why wait for the weather to dry up? Why wait for that perfect day? You can go to Swing Lab Performance Golf down in Lakeville. Don't forget, offered lunch specials and happy hours daily from 3 to 6, plus ladies' night on Thursday. That's when you'll catch me out there with my bucket of beers in the South Metro.
Very nice.
Swing Lab Performance Golf.
Very, very nice. And guys, look, you know what? Sports Dad here to tell you that I know that we bottle stuff up. Men do this all the time, right? We don't want to talk. Jessi can tell you right now, we don't want to talk about stuff because we think that we are going to be tough and power through it. But I'm going to tell you right now, personal experience, that's not the right move. In fact, do your friends and family the favor of talking to someone who can help you, a professional. And that is where our friends at Rula come in. They are professionals who can help you. They have 15,000 therapists nationwide, very accessible and also personalized for you. In network for most major insurance providers as well. Typical copay, only about $15. You can connect with a therapist in as little as 24 hours as well. Join the thousands of people who have turned to Rula to improve their mental health. Just go to Rula, RULA.com/Judd. And when you sign up, that is how they can help you. And of course, you can also help support JHS. Rula.com/Judd. Connect with a licensed therapist who can help you. Don't keep it in. Don't try to solve it yourself. Consult the experts at Rula to make sure that you can talk it out. I'm going to tell you right now, once you do it, it's fantastic. You'll realize how much you should have done this before. We appreciate the folks at Rula coming on board. All right, guys. I have another question that this actually was Jessi's suggestion, and it's a good one. What are the
Say that so surprisingly, like it's actually a good one.
No, it's a great one. It's a very good one. It's a pat in the back. It's a pat in the back. I'm trying to say it was a very good suggestion, and it is this: what should the expectation be for David Jiricek next season, given, and this can't be dismissed, what Bill Guerin gave up for him? And I'll go through it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He gave up a prospect in Damon Hunt. More importantly, probably, he gave up a 2025 first-round pick, a 2026 third-round pick, a 2026 fourth-round pick, and a fifth-round pick in 2025. This is like the Wild signed a very high-end RFA. Like, this is a lot. So Bill Guerin basically said, again, to go back to the end of the season press conference he gave, that, that the kid will decide if he makes the team or not. But I look at this return and say, you can't not have him make the team, right? So, Jessi, what do you think the expectations are for a guy who you gave up an absolute haul for?
He has to make the team. You can go and say, yeah, we have a spot, but he's got to get it himself. He's on the team. Like, he is on this team because you gave up a first rounder. You gave up those picks. You gave up Damon Hunt, who you really could have used down the stretch with the injuries to the blue line as well. I like Damon Hunt as a prospect. I think that was it. Not to mention, you need to do it for Jiricek. I think sometimes we forget the players amongst all this. You got him from Columbus because Columbus wasn't utilizing him at all, just to do the same exact thing that Columbus was doing to him and have him up here sitting in the press box. Finally send him down. He finally gets some action in Iowa, and he lacerates his spleen and is out for the rest of the year. So a tough year for him. I've only encountered him once or twice. He was only up here for 6 games where he had a goal and an assist. I see a lot of potential. He's got that size. He's got that physical presence. I think he could add a little bit more weight on just to be a little bit stronger, but he's young. I like him as a player. I think it's exactly what you need back on the blue line. And he's got that very strong-willed attitude too. So I have to imagine he's pretty ticked off with the way last season ended up going for him too. So you're going to see that hunger and that fire withstanding, but no, he's on this team. I will not allow for anything else because you don't give up all that you did to send a guy back down to Iowa the second time you have him around. It's fine that you did it last year, whatever, fine, you got it out of your system, but no, he's got to be on this team.
Oh, yeah, big time. He's got the tools, he's got the frame, he's got the body to be able to be an everyday NHLer for the price you gave up. Like if you look at where the Wild would have been picking right now, if they want, hypothetically, if they wanted to go with a defenseman at that pick, they would have had the 20th overall pick. The options there right now are not that great. You would have had to either have some really big luck to fall, or you have to trade up. Otherwise, you're reaching on, I don't know, like a Blake Fiddler or something like that, which probably is a very late first round, like quality prospect who isn't making your team out of camp. Like that is a future type of guy. Jiricek, though, I mean, with the size, the physicality, just the offensive toolkit that he has, he should be an impact player from day one on the team. There should be no minor league stint for him. I understand he might have some off days and like coming back from injury, you're going to probably have him like gear up into that NHL speed. So there might be a little bit of, rocky waters to start, but he should be in your lineup no matter what. And there should be no, we got to put him next to Bill in the press box and have him take a night off. And then he's going to go back. There should be none of that. That is an everyday NHL guy and zero rotation. I expect him to be, if he's healthy, 82 games.
What's a rebound from a lacerated spleen? Pretty normal, right? Like he'll be okay.
He should be good, right?
Like there's still things. I realize we never followed up with Billy on that. Like he's good to go by camp, but I would imagine so, right?
Yeah, I remember the initial comments about it were like, the reports were that he's going to be fine. He's going to heal up this offseason, but then like by training camp, he should be 100%.
Yeah.
Cool. But also we know how their medical stuff had been reported all year.
Oh,
so
boy. Oh boy. Oh, you're sorry, Charlie McAvoy. All right. So
our bad.
Opening night next season. All right. Would you prefer? So I am going to go with your bottom pairing of some sort being Jiricek on the right side, Buium on the left side. Okay. Would you prefer that you go into opening night next year with Bogosian as your 7th D, or would you prefer, and he has a modified no trade, trying to shop Jared Spurgeon? Now,
I mean, Age laid that one out last week, so I'm going to punt over to that side. Yeah. I would rather have Bogosian as your 7th D.
I think I would too. I mean, last week I said that maybe a little more tongue in cheek and just to get kind of it was surprising if you had to, like in a fantasy world.
It's out there. You hate Jared Spurgeon, strip him of the C. We don't want him on this team.
You could shop him.
You just
all bets are off for me. I'm shopping.
Yes.
If I can shop you, I'll shop you.
Well, and like Billy has said, like they're never not listening to offers, like in his mind, nothing is ever like completely off limits. Cause if somebody comes up with, all of King Midas is silver and gold, why not? You're going to listen. But I think in reality, the reality that we live in here, they probably want their captain. They probably want Jared Spurgeon, who is still, he's playing for Team Canada right now. He's still a very, very solid defender. And what Judd was kind of lauding for in the playoffs was you need a stabilizer for a young guy like a Zeev Buium. So to have that, similar to the talking points that we had about Marc-Andre Fleury with the goalie room last year being sort of that mentor, you have two young guys in Jiricek and Buium now. And Faber, obviously is a pro, but still relatively young and probably could use sort of that mentoring.
Watch your mouth.
You're gonna want a guy like Jared Spurgeon in your locker room. So do you shop like actively? No, but I think you
mention him on a phone call.
I think you throw him in there, you slip him in.
You up?
Like what do they do at like NFL like combine stuff? Like, you just kind of hypothetically, just Spurgeon.
Well,
he could be traded.
Here's the thing. I would keep him, but the Bogosian thing scares me because at the first sign of trouble with one of the young defensemen, do they default to Bogosian? Because I like the depth if you have an injury, but Jess, I don't want this to be Jiricek had 2 games. We didn't like him on film. So now it's Zach's time again. That concerns me a little bit. I do like the depth factor, but I need Bogosian in the press box until I need him.
Yeah.
Which inevitably you probably will. So
Well, and I mix up the D pairings. I like Jared Spurgeon, and I understand this might sound wildly crazy,
with
but
you on this.
let's try this. I similar. We all said this. I want Zeev and Spurge together, so maybe that's my
Well,
third pair
Good luck.
instead. And maybe you've got Middleton and Jiricek, two big bodies, two sizes up top, and then Broads and Faber, and then William and Spurge. That spreads things out a little bit. I know it's crazy. People are gonna be like, how are you going to take Jared Spurgeon out of the top 4 pairing, blah, 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 and put your
I don't-
kid that you don't know?
I don't care at this point.
No, and I love that for Zeev, right? Now Zeev has to come back strong because I think that's too smaller guy. You know, he's very tiny right now, but I would rather him learn from Spurgeon than put him with Jiricek, who's learning at the same time, or put him with Bogosian, who's really unable, as we saw, to cover up any of those mistakes that he's going to make as a rookie. Yeah.
No, I did see, I believe it was also in the mailbag they did in The Athletic, I think it was Russo who floated that Brodeen, I don't think has any trade protection.
He's hurt all the freaking
I know,
time.
but that's why, but he's incredibly valuable when he's not hurt because again, he's a stabilizer. But that's the other one. I mean, I think there might be a better chance. I'm guessing Russo didn't make that up out of thin air. Like, I'm sure he's talked to enough folks. And the injury thing with Brodeen is a huge thing. If you could move Brodeen with no trade protection and you could get something back, I think you'd have to consider it at this point. I love him, but you're right. He's hurt constantly.
When's the last time he gave us a full season? Like, honestly, right? It's been 3 years, maybe. And I'm talking, he's missed lengthy time. Not even just this year. Last year it was a ton of time. The year before, there's always been
2 stints last year, right?
I think so.
Rhodes had 2 stints.
Like this most recent season last year?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. 2 of 10 games or more. Go ahead, Age, lay it out.
His only full season, all 82 games, was 2018-19. Otherwise, the past handful of seasons, 50 games, 62 games, 60 games, 73, 53, 69, and then...
That's a lot of games. Like I'm saying, you miss a couple games here and there. That's fine, right? But he misses a ton. He's wrap him in bubble wrap, man. Like he's not...
Well,
and I don't know.
I do think you could get something for him. Because I think teams still like him enough. But yes, the injury problem would definitely be a negotiating tactic for a team trying to acquire him. But I'll say this too. Sure as bleep, he's going to the Olympics for Sweden, which worries me again because he is so prone to being hurt. At first I thought I wouldn't trade him. But then when you look at the games played, you look at his age, you look at where this is going. I think he's well liked, but he's not the captain of your team. It becomes an intriguing option that if somebody calls and you could get the requisite return, that you would take it.
Are you asking then for a defenseman back who's younger, or what are you looking for there in a return? Because I feel like your defensive core is set right now, and if you have him go out the door, then that either elevates Bogosian, who, frankly, I don't want in the lineup every night.
Rhodes is a left-handed shot too, so you'd probably need to get a defenseman back.
Yeah,
but
I'm very few defensemen that can skate like he can.
That's
that's it. Well, Jacob Slavin, that's who I want back. I'll give you 1 for 1. Jonas
Let's get you in the front office. So you just wheeling.
You know what I want? I want a guy who can play defense, block shots, and not get up hobbling every single freaking time. And they do exist. They do exist. I've seen them out there.
I have Bill Guerin literally screaming in my head, "We're not going to get rid of Jonas Brodeen. Why would you even say?" Like, I can see him just absolutely scoffing at that idea.
Well, just say he's injured a lot, Bill, and you don't like guys that can't play. He's not reliable enough anymore, Bill. That's part of the problem.
Could we just talk to like the equipment guys, the equipment team for the Wild, and get him like a bomb suit, like a modified bomb suit, so that he can go out there and skate and play and still be active.
Like a
when he takes a
suit?
shot, it feels like it's a piece of paper.
That's the thing. I think he does have added protection. Like, there are a couple of those guys that have like
Always use
the
protection.
extra stuff.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Always use protection.
Always use protection.
Especially
Hockey players always should use
shots.
protection. Wow, this show's off the rails. Okay, last question. Who are you rooting for among the conference finalists?
You already know. Don't make me say it.
No, you got to say it.
Yeah,
You got to
Say
tell
Dallas
everybody.
Stars. That team is so freaking good. Like, they're fun. I like good hockey. I understand that we're supposed to hate the Dallas Stars. I get it. It's supposed to be just this abomination to a Minnesota fan. they are a good hockey team. And when they are healthy, they are a good hockey team. They got all their guys back. Edmonton doesn't do it for me. I like Leon Draisaitl. I can respect the hell out of Connor McDavid. I don't like it. There's no personality there for me. Dallas, all the way, baby. All the way.
Who you got, Age? Who you rooting for?
On opposite of Jessi, Edmonton does everything for me. They got
Wow.
two of the
That's
best,
great.
5-3 players in the world. They get mediocre goaltending, and it's fine. They just score more than the other team. Sometimes their defense shows up, sometimes not. Like they're similar. How I was saying, like the fourth line for the Wild was an adventure every time they're out there. The Edmonton Oilers, every game is an adventure because you don't know what they're going to be. They're either they're either the Canadians who won 6 cups in a row, or they are, they're like a ragtag recess where the two best kids in the class are out there doing it all. It's like Kicking and Screaming, that Will Ferrell movie where they have the Italians where they're out there winning the games, and then you have just like Will Ferrell's son on the bench is watching wow, these kids are good while he stinks. So they're entertaining hockey, and ruffling some feathers here. I want them to prove to Jessi that you can have two guys making that much
there it
money
is.
Wow, you're
and
going
win a
There
cup.
it is.
Going Billy Guerin
Spitefulness.
on her. I am
Spitefulness.
going with a team that I have grown to respect greatly. I'm going with the Florida Panthers. I know
Not a
the
bad choice.
defending champion, but two things. First of all, I mistakenly used to think that Paul Maurice was not a great coach. Now, he didn't have the right teams, perhaps, but he is a fantastic coach. And what he has gotten from that team, I respect so much. And when he articulates his thoughts, he's just freaking on point. So one is I was wrong about that, but I also just like the fact that the Panthers are incredibly professional. They remind me of the Islanders of my youth when they won 4 consecutive cups. The Islanders, had huge talent, but they also were just professional. And the other thing is, shout out to, I believe, the GM, Bill Zito, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to your work at the deadline, dude. Shout out to, you go get Brad Marchand, just a winner, just a stone cold winner. You go get him. And he has fit in seamlessly there. They made some great moves. So I'm going the Panthers just based on the fact that they come to work, ready to work with star power as well. And I respect that.
I'm really glad that they proved everybody wrong by just going out and finding a guy who's like a multi-time cup winner who still is playing good and just plucking him off a bad team. It's crazy to think that nobody thinks about doing that. If you add a good hockey player to your team, they're going to benefit you. Well, I wonder if we can do that a little bit more around here instead of fourth line, guys.
Well, and that's what I want too. At the deadline, that's textbook to me. Because
Yes.
that's time to make the move.
Yeah. And granted, I think last year was not the right time for that type of move, but
Right.
There's no excuse this year if everybody is doing what they should.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So we are done here. We will be back at least once more this week with another episode of JHS. He's AJ. She is Miss Dallas Stars, the only person in the state that loves that franchise. I don't know why they ripped my heart out. Jessi Pierce. I'm the sports dad. We'll see
Good
you.
hockey. Good hockey, guys.
I can't stand them.